You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live.
Hello, welcome back to the Claret and Blue podcast. My name is Dan Rowlands and I'm joined by I'm in a good mood for a change, Matt Kendrick. Matt, how are you, apart from being in a good mood?
I'm absolutely buzzing, mate. I'm absolutely buzzing. Cristiano Ronaldo, Alex Ferguson, Mick Hucknall, Chesney from Crossroads, Mark Goldbridge. Can you hear us? Your boys took one hell of a beating. Sounded a bit Welsh, that did it? It went a bit Welsh rather than Norwegian. I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing. Waited a really long time for this, Dan. Really long time. How old are you?
Well, that was on my first kind of port of call to get out of the way, the elephant in the room. You know what? Quick early shout out from McDale. We're not even 60 seconds into a podcast and McDale's getting a shout out. He was sat in front of me today. Can you believe that?
Never mind McDale, just beat Man United
no,
for the first time in 27 years. He's a lovely fella, but
he was sat in front of me and we were chatting throughout the game, and he said about, it being 27 years and all this kind of thing, 1995, and I just went on early and just went, I wasn't even born the last time we beat Man United at home.
When were you? Were you born in 95?
I was born in November, yeah. So I was on the way in August, but I hadn't quite popped out just yet. So let's get that elephant out of the room. The last time we beat Man United, I wasn't even born. And quick quiz question. I've actually done some prep. Do you want to guess how many of the starting 11 today for Aston Villa were also not born?
In 95.
Who also weren't born then?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me something easy, like the scorers back then or something.
On the flip side, who were born? There was four players were alive the last time Villa beat Man United from the starting 11 that played today. Yeah.
Oh,
this will be quite easy.
Who's older than 27?
Yeah.
Oh God. Martinez, is he older than 27?
Martinez, yeah, that's one. Well, we need to hurry this up a little bit.
Is Mings now?
Mings is also older than 27, yes.
Oh, blimey. Luca Dean,
yeah. One more. And this one is on the cusp because he was also born in 1995, the December, I think.
Would it be Dendoncker? Is he that?
It would, yeah. Dendoncker is the other one.
Good, wasn't it?
Who will also be turning, what am I this year? Am I 27 this year? Yeah, 27. 27 this year. Dendoncker is also 27 this year in December, I think it is. So those are the four players that were actually alive the last time. Ashley Young also is one that he didn't start today. I don't know why I've gone early with the quiz, to be honest. That's not how I thought this podcast was going to start.
But it doesn't have to be a structure, does it?
It's the hoodoo of not being able to beat Man United at Villa Park is over at last. Obviously, yeah, people in the comments saying Danny Ings, also older than 27, but starting 11 only. So that's out of the way now. Good start for the new manager, isn't it? Not just beating Man United in terms of the isolation of that being a good result in this season, but getting that hoodoo out of the way as well. Good start for Emery, that.
Yeah, we just got to build the statue, get it done.
Yeah, get it done.
Gold
plate it.
Completes the double on Thursday night at Old Trafford in the Cup, then the freedom of Birmingham should be his. I think I did fear for him when I was walking to the game today, and he's actually hammering it down of rain. I'm thinking, you've left Spain to come here, but hopefully the welcome that Villa Park gave him and how his players reciprocated will vindicate his decision. It's a really exciting, important start. Dan, I was probably a little bit doom and gloom in the sense that I was almost prepared to give him a free hit for these next three games. If we don't get anything, at least he's got a pre-season effectively and a chance to really get stuck into to the squad. But 3 points from that fixture, and I thought we thoroughly deserved it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, let's try and do this chronologically to a certain extent. I did say I wanted to touch on Emery's press conference, but we'll leave that till the end because I don't know whether we actually will talk about it. So let's go back to team news first of all. Luca Dean comes back in for Ashley Young, which possibly raised a couple of eyebrows, but didn't have a great. Nobody had a great second half against Newcastle, to be fair. But Ashley Young and Almiron, and I think Murphy was playing up against him at some point as well. Ashley Young struggled against Newcastle, so Dean coming back and being fit as essentially first choice left back, paid a lot of money for him. Isn't out of the realms of possibility of going, well, yeah, Dean should be starting games. And he's vindicated by scoring the free kick as well, by the way. What did you think of the lineup when it first dropped through? Emery's first one, Ramsey back into the fold as well. Martinez captain. Martinez keeps the captaincy armband, by the way, even though John McGinn comes on, which hasn't happened before. Normally when John McGinn comes on, he gets the armband off whoever has it. But yeah, starting 11, his first one. What did you make of it at 1 o'clock?
Legends, mate. My favourite 11 players ever. All of them. He can ultimately only pick from that squad of 25 players, really, or the academy kids who are knocking around the edges of it. I thought it was interesting that McGinn stayed on the bench. He clearly had in his own mind what he thought could win that team, and he was completely vindicated by it. I don't know. I don't think there's any real surprises in it, but we don't know what he's seen, do we? I wouldn't be surprised if we've got a cup game next anyway at Old Trafford, but I'm not necessarily. I wouldn't guarantee that starting 11 would start away at Brighton. You know what I mean? I think he is going to be a horses for courses manager, and I hark back to the interview that John did with Gwilym Balagay. That's still available for people to watch exclusively on Claret and Blue YouTube. And it is that, he can't be defined by one system. He's defined by his flexibility and his adaptability and his in-game management. So, whatever I thought about it at 1 o'clock, by 2:15, I was pretty excited about it, I must admit.
Oh, there's a comment here from Andy, and I didn't see this because I was in the stadium with very little service whatsoever, saying you've got to trust his team selection. I read so many comments moaning about it. It's annoying. I don't really get the kind of pre-match. I mean, we do previews and stuff, which again, I've never been a huge fan of because you're guessing a lot of the time. I think this might happen. I think that might happen. It's the same with team news. You can see a lineup where you think, I'm not convinced by that, and they win. And other times you think, the perfect lineup, and you lose, or you're 3-0 down at half time or something silly. So I don't really get this kind of polarising, what a rubbish team, Emery out, whatever. And then you go on to do something. It's just, let's see what happens first before we get carried away. But just on the system and the kind of tactical flexibility that you just mentioned, in the second half, particularly, and towards the end of the game, I don't know what system we were playing anyway. We made 5 subs. Then Donker's playing like a target man up front, number 10 kind of roaming player. Leon Bailey's played a lot of the game up front to the second striker, I think, drifting in from the right-hand side and being near Ollie Watkins. John McGinn comes on, almost like a number 10 as well. So I kind of thought, there's been a lot of talk about Emery's kind of 4-2-3-1 and 2 pivot midfielders and wide men coming in. I thought you might look at it and go, well, there's the 2, there's the 3, there's the 1 up front. But like I said, in the second half and towards the end of the game, it's just like, it seemed like there were players everywhere. I know that comes with kind of confidence and you 3-1 up at that point, but they were closing down every ball. They were kind of swarming all over the shop together. And you kind of wonder how have we been able to do that in maybe 4 training sessions Emery's had, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if they've done one every single day. It's such a shift in kind of identity already that you wonder what will we see from a Unai Emery side 12 months down the line, not 4 training sessions in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the really exciting prospect, and I think to add to your players all over the place. Ezri Konsa went on driving runs in the last 20 minutes of the game. I tell you what struck me, and I'm very nervous for the first couple of minutes. The real commitment to play out from the back, and The thing that I noticed, or that resonated with me, was it was almost, don't force the issue of this football match. Don't force the issue. If you can exert an element of control over it and keep the ball and try and build up spells of possession, then eventually there will be moments that you can pull the opposition apart, and then you can go after them. Then you can bring everybody into action like that. And I thought that was the case. There was a couple of times, I think, even when we were 0-0, Martinez, got his foot on the ball, hadn't he? On the edge of the box, and almost inviting Ronaldo to come, just so he could then have an angle to give it Mings. And if Mings was closed down, I mean, I looked at Martinez today, and he's such, I don't know, he's such a likable player. Yeah. He's such a likable, lovable player. And some of his passing range, I don't know if we've said this before, but I think he's the Argentinian Sid Cowens, because he was pinging kind of little kind of crossfields when the short ball wasn't on. He'd ping it into the fullback. And
also, let's not forget that Gerrard effectively stopped that because there was a period when Martinez first came, his distribution was excellent, and he'd start counter-attacks by a long throw or a nice kick down to a fullback on the halfway line. And that stopped in the last, I don't know, 6 to 10 months under Gerrard. So he was clearly actively being told not to do that. Just on the playing out from the back thing, me and my dad always say about kind of that nervy, what if we do make a mistake here, or what if we do something stupid? We're Aston Villa, we'll roll it into our own net or something. Yeah. When it works, though, you can see why people do it. You draw Man United in for that first goal and ping up a ball, and you're through, basically. And there was a few occasions throughout this afternoon where you're 2 or 3 passes away from carving open Man United at home, and you think, but yeah, where's this been for the last year? It's the same players.
I think it's going to be a test of all of us in the next couple of years, potentially, of how brave we're prepared to be. I don't mean brave by playing gung-ho football, but for me, if Emery's insisting that we play like that, and you're right, played effectively, it does eventually open teams up. You move them around, and you find spaces to hit and to threaten. But to become I thought we did it well today, but to be properly proficient in that, there probably will be a couple of mistakes along the way, because you need to keep playing it to get better at it. And so and I think
there's always times I've thought, we haven't got the players to do this. Just pump it along, just keep it simple, don't do anything silly. But like you say, with practice and with a manager that will implement that properly, it is an effective form of attack, effectively from defence.
Yeah, and he will bring in players. The ones who can do it will stay with him, and he'll make them better, hopefully. And the ones who can't, he'll replace them with better players who can. Hopefully, that's the plan. But I almost think it's a little bit of what we need to be and how we need to see his reign completely as well. Speaking to the fella next to me, chewing his ear off today, and saying 3 years, I know he signed a 4.5-year contract. Let's say 3 years from now, I think if we trust Unai Emery, he will have Aston Villa in a better league position. So we'll be higher up the table. But not only that, he would be able to have set the club up so it's in a better position, and it can go back to going forward. Now, that's not just say that's not to say we can't forgive him. We can excuse him every single mistake he makes along the way. Of course, there'll be things like that. But it's how much we hold our nerve as a fan base, and how much the board hold their nerve, and how much the owners hold their nerve. This guy will make our club better, but we've got to be a bit braver during the tough times. And we've got to try and almost, suspend our frustration a little bit. Yeah.
There's a comment here from Dave. This is the point we talked about after Brentford. Did Martinez win the toss again and attack the Holt first? And we talked about it in the Brentford podcast that Martinez was captain that day and we changed a kick-off. Was that Martinez's decision? I said the Brentford goalkeeper had the sun in his eyes in the first half, so possibly it was Martinez that won it and thought, you know what, you go and have the sun in your eyes, I'm going to change it. Now, again, I don't know whether Martinez won it today, but it seems like no coincidence that the same captain plays 2 home games in a row and we happen to switch ends again. I'll quite fancy this attacking the whole end thing first. It's worked so far that we're scoring goals early in games. So if that is a conscious choice from Martinez to switch it, it's working, isn't it? Maybe this is where we've been going wrong this whole time.
Well, I don't know whether it was Martinez who won the toss, but the interesting thing for me is that as an old Villa traditionalist, I used to hate attacking the Holt end first half, because I used to think that you need to attack the Holt end second half so they can get you over the line. And maybe that is a negative thing, because
if you tune up first in 10 minutes
time and get yourself into a 2-0 lead within 10 minutes. And I saw John Terry got involved in a Twitter conversation with a couple of Villa fans after the Brentford game, and he said, I would prefer, having come to Villa Park as an opposition player many times, as well as being involved as a Villa player and coach, I would always prefer to kick towards the Holt end second half as a opposition player, because I think the Holt end can get into you quite early in the first half, and then you know what I mean, and intimidate you a little bit. So it's an interesting one. Just on the Martinez as well. You seem sizing up the free kick.
Yeah.
Scored from.
Yeah, just very quickly, there's a comment from Marky. It says that apparently Ronaldo won the toss, according to Sky. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, but whatever. Maybe a coincidence, but it's worked for so far. But yeah, that's like in front of us, Martinez kind of sizing up where to position the wall for Dean's free kick, or where to position the Villa players in the wall. And as he was doing it, I thought, this is like untapped knowledge, essentially, for a goalkeeper to get involved in that, because he's looking at that thinking, well, if I was defending this free kick, I wouldn't want the Villa player or the opposition player stood there. So I'm going to go and stand right in line with Dean taking the free kick on the halfway line, and I'll tell you where to go for what I wouldn't like to defend against. Yeah. And then he's running down, celebrating, laughing at the dugout as he goes back to his own goal. He's like running all the way across with his head like that, like proper fist bumping to Austin McPhee and Emery down there in the dugout.
McPhee's going to get nervous now because there's Martinez completely taking his job. I don't be surprised to see Austin McPhee turn up at Bodymore with some goalie gloves.
Another little great bit of kind of gamesmanship, or the dark arts, or whatever you want to call it, to kind of get involved in that as a goalkeeper and as the captain, and whether how much effect that's had on it, I'm not so sure, because it's a good free kick as well. But yeah, just again, a nice little, if I'm doing a piece of things that happen during the game away from the actual match itself, that'd be one thing that I'd highlight as what an interesting quirk that was.
Yeah, another interesting quirk, which I don't know, it's fairly bizarre when the Holton started playing catch with the ball.
Yeah, I love that.
Can't remember when
second, I think.
Just had a game of catch for about a minute, and you could just see. I think it was Ronaldo getting more and more upset and uptight.
It's good, that, isn't it? Upsetting Ronaldo.
Yeah, it's brilliant. That was one of the byproducts of the victory. That was hilarious. Was it when he was complaining? He was calling for a corner, and we gave the referee finally gave something our way and gave a goal kick, and the Holton started chanting "Sue" at him and a cry in a minute, which I thought was very amusing.
Yeah, love stuff like that. The little Mings Ronaldo spat, or whatever you want to call it.
I've not seen it back either. What happened?
No, I've not. You kind of saw it out the corner of my eye unfolding, a little bit of argy-bargy. I don't know who started it. I think they were both booked, weren't they? Which is the standard kind of refereeing. I mean, we've got VAR to intervene now if anything was more, and they did check it in there for violent conduct, but I don't know who for in the stadium. It just said violent conduct, so I thought, well, it's probably against Mings, isn't it? No, Man United and Aston Villa. If there's VAR intervening, it'll be to our that
was it,
to Man United's benefit. But yeah, I think both got booked. So I don't know what came from it, but again, I thought, well, if he's not sent off Ronaldo for that, he's wound up, and I like that. Just Ronaldo being wound up and upset and looking like he might cry in a minute and flailing his arms around or whatever. That's worth it alone.
Well, that's probably, I say probably, we'll end up drawing him in the FA Cup. That's probably the last time we're going to see Ronaldo at Villa Park, certainly in a Manchester United shirt. So I'm so glad that he didn't score, and I'm so glad that he went home miserable.
Okay, fair enough. Just on Coutinho, very quickly, Ash tweeted from Emery's press conference that he's injured quadricep. Something in your leg, I think. I don't know how long it will be, but today he couldn't play, and he's not going to play until after the break. It's a muscular injury. So, I mean, not a huge loss, is it? Coutinho not being available, to be honest. So we've played all right.
No, it's not. But I hope we don't write him off completely.
No, he's got a fresh start like everybody else.
Yeah, I hope that Emery can. I hope that he gets the break, and when he returns, we're able to find out what makes him tick, because it'd be such a Villa thing to do, to have a player of that quality and for him to just disappear with hardly really making his mark. But yeah, he wouldn't have got in that team today, would he?
Yeah, if the team is pairing without him, I'm not really that bothered, to be honest. Yeah. Like I said, this will be a little bit all over the place. Try to do it in chronological order, but we've gone into the game now. Just quickly, the pre-match kind of atmosphere and stuff around the game. There's the whole end display, which looked really good. I wasn't quite sure what it was trying to be at first.
There weren't enough people there, were they, doing it at first? It looked a bit...
Yeah. I imagine those cards have something like hold up when the players come out or something, and people went early, like a couple of minutes before, and there was a few splodges of blue around, and I thought, is this going to be like AVFC, or was it a lion or whatever? And I was trying to think, what's this going to be?
At first, it was like the kind of painting that your kid had painted at nursery, and you said nice things about it, and then by the end, it was like a Picasso masterpiece by the time everybody got the memo. But it looked good. The atmosphere was great. It was
good, yeah. And we've talked about atmosphere a lot on this podcast, and kind of lacking a little bit in that kind of two-way street of the players needing to give us something to cheer, but also us needing to kind of bite the bullet and cheer them no matter what. But yeah, it was good today, and no surprises, it coincides with one of the best results of the season. It's one of the best atmospheres of the season throughout as well.
Yeah, it's any football stadium, particularly Villa Park, is at its best when it's a proper mutual appreciation society, isn't it? And both sides, the fans and the team, are provide doing their bit. Again, the thing that amused me was when the whole tent called Unai gives a wave, and he was actually pointing directions rather than waving, but the whole tent cheered and he went,
yeah.
Well, that was funny.
Big fan of that. Again,
the other thing
pre-match.
as well, the John McGinn song came round, and we had to remember whose man he was this time, because he's been Bruce's, he's been Smith's, he's been Gerrard's, and now he's Unai Emery. So
it's a good job that Unai Emery fits the song, isn't it? And it's not Villas-Boas man or whatever.
To be honest, I think that's. But yeah, no, it was brilliant. I've had a really lovely day. Thank you, Dan.
Well, again, something we've talked about on the podcast and privately as well of Villa Sunday, bit of a chore. And some people will look at that and go, "Oh no, I always love going to the Villa, blah blah." And it is, going to the football is good. The football is the bad thing that ruins it usually. But you do sometimes think, "Oh, I've got to watch 90 minutes of Villa today." Like that'll be a drag or whatever. But it was nice to be able to look forward to a game and be excited about a fresh new era and to come away from it and having a good day, 3 points and a performance that was worthy of something, worthy of the pre-match excitement. It's nice to come away from Villa Park feeling like that and having that kind of optimism for the next game of going, you know what, we might beat them again on Thursday night. That's a nice place to be in.
Yeah, I mean, let's just. My dad, when I was walking away from the ground, he said something about, I need to have a serious look at their away form. And I said, Dad, look, let's just enjoy it. Wait more than a quarter of a century for this one. Let's just at least get home and we'll worry about the next game in a bit. But yeah, it's got everybody with a real spring in the step. And I thought we're jumping all over the place a little bit as per, but I thought the Ramsey goal as well was so important, the timing of it.
Well, yeah.
I think that ended up winning the game, didn't it, in effect, because it just gave us that little bit of, kept them at arm's length again, really. And a big shout out to Ollie Watkins today. I've been critical of Ollie Watkins about some of his approach play. We've all, not all of us, but lots of us have been critical about his finishing. But the way he held the ball up and managed to manoeuvre it into space and to get the move rolling for Bailey's opening goal was brilliant centre forward play. I thought he did really well. Yeah. And then his contribution for the Ramsey goal as well. I don't know, am I being unkind to him? I think he was cutting it back for Buendia, and it just happened.
Well, it's
put it in the area, put it in the right area.
Yeah, he's put it in the right area at a decent weight, and it's if the goal isn't scored there, I'm not blaming Watkins' ball. I'm blaming that there isn't a man running onto it from midfield. It might not have been intended for Buendia or Bailey, so it's a bad pass from Watkins. But I'd expect the midfield runner to be supporting anyway. So McGinn, Ramsey, Dendoncker, whoever should be there to steer it home if it is a bad pass. Yeah, I'll give him the credit for it.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is down to Emery's turnaround, but we've seen occasions where Watkins would have attempted a shot there, and it would have, been easily gathered by the goalie, or he's hit a low hard ball across the 6-yard box that's easily intercepted. So the fact that he's had the presence of mind to turn back inside and to put it into space around the edge of the area, and then Ramsey's just absolutely smashed that, hasn't he? And I still at that time when he scored that, I thought maybe we'll win this. Then that kind of feeling went away because I thought, no, this is still Man United, and I've seen us blow 2-goal leads before. And then when Anthony Taylor, I think he's had a dreadful game.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of the decisions. I think he was keener to book Villa players than he was Manchester United players. He's probably needed to put a Man United shirt on when he's blocked that pass from was it Ramsey going out to the.
I'm not sure off that counter attack. Yeah.
And yes, I just thought there might be a sting in the tower, and then the 6 minutes goes up for the stoppage time. You're thinking, oh no, just get this over with.
Well, again, I mentioned McDowell at the start. He was sat in front of me, and he pulled out his phone with, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 minutes to go, and he starts filming the atmosphere and started to sing LA and all this kind of stuff, because we know we're probably going to win at that point. He turned the camera around to pan up to me, and I was like, whoa, steady on me, because still 5 minutes left here. They could score 2 goals. Like, let's not get carried away. But yeah, lovely to actually get over the line. just on the kind of timing of the goals, I guess, to get those first two pretty early, again, kind of sets the precedent, sets the tone of how you want the game to go. The atmosphere that starts well because of a new manager can continue for the vast majority of the first half, because bloody hell, we're 2-0 up against Man United. Come to see the Villa, etc., to the Man United fans. That kind of us against them mentality. The Luke Shaw equaliser, or the Ramsey own goal, I guess it goes down as, is peak Man United, isn't it? Peak Aston Villa to concede in that manner just before half time as well. You think, if we get to 2-0, that's a great half reset in the second. But again, something that I don't know how Emery's managed to sort something in 4 training sessions or 5 days of the kind of mentality for Aston Villa to come out in the second half. Leon Bailey skins about 2 players and gets a shot off 8 seconds into the second half, which is like, whoa, all right, we've started bang on fire here. But to get, my dad said at half time, 50 minutes, it'll be 2-2. That's how this goes now. We go into a slump. They've had their lucky goal. Something's gone their way. They'll come out, be better in the second half. They might make some changes and it'll be 2-2. And if it goes to 2-2 early, we'll probably lose. That's kind of the Villa versus Man United mindset, isn't it? You just feel like, well, they'll get something eventually. So for us to be the side that goes 3-1 ahead and get that next goal, it's so important, isn't it, at 2-1 to get that next goal. If it goes 2-2, like I said, I think you're probably going to lose. To go 3-1, obviously you go on and win. So for us to get it, and it to be a nice kind of team move as well, just kind of almost like not sit back and relax, because you do still think, well, it's Man United, but for us to have 2 home games in a row now where we've been, for large parts of the game, been in total control, it's an unusual feeling, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably normally more like your dad in that sense, that you've been stung so many times on these occasions that goal just before half time was typical Man United. I actually managed to summon up some kind of optimism somewhere though when I was chatting at half time, as if to say, perhaps that's a sign that we haven't got the game won, that we've got to reset and we've got to come out and we've got to win the game second half, rather than us, almost resting on our laurels at 2-0. We got to start this again and we got to go and do the same thing again. That it's probably more, probably wishful thinking, because I don't know why I thought that would happen, but it did happen. And that goal, like I said, that Jacob Ramsey goal, almost Villa knew that. Emery told them they've got to go and make that happen because they need it. I think he's all about control. He's all about being in control of your own destiny. And if that means taking the safe option 9 times out of 10, and then on the 10th time you actually spring the surprise and you go for them, that's fine. Because if you concede ground, you concede possession, you're more likely to concede goals. Whereas if you're like I say, in control of your own destiny and making the right choices more often than not, you've got more chances of winning the football match. It's one match in, we've seen managers come in and win their first fixture, albeit not against Manchester United at Villa Park. But this is not vintage Manchester United, let's face it, but they're still a decent team for us to beat.
I mean, they've not been vintage Man United for a long time and still managed to beat us every single year at Villa Park, or for not to beat them at Villa Park for 27 years. Yeah.
So I think what I'm saying is I'm so excited and so encouraged by what I've seen. But Unai and his players have set the bar pretty high now.
Well, I said I wasn't going to get too carried away with any managerial appointment because we've had so many false dawns. I want to see some kind of proof at Aston Villa on the pitch to make me go, right, yes, this is the right guy, this will work. And I mean, it's still only one game, but there has been encouraging signs today. We've obviously won. We've got rid of that hoodoo of 27 years of not beating Man United at Villa Park. But it's still early to get too carried away. I want to see it consistently from Villa that this is the right appointment. But it's a bloody good start to beat Man United on your first home game. Let's not be wrong about that and kind of make out that it's not a big deal, because it is. Just going back to the being in control thing, me and John were speaking about the masterclass video that Emery did with the coach's voice a couple of years ago about the Sevilla Liverpool Europa League final. And it's all in Spanish, so it's subtitled, but he's talking in that about Liverpool scored in the first half and they were 1-0 down at half time, and how tweaks he had to make at half time to eventually go on and win the game. And obviously Villa aren't 1-0 down at half time here, but there's that kind of semi-sucker punch of the Man United goal and how that would have affected the dressing room. And how it would have affected a dressing room in Villa years gone by is Well, we gave it a good go. Man United would be better in the second half and kind of shrivel up and die in the second half. And in that video, he talked about how he didn't really change anything tactically. It's not about that. It's about mentality and about how we kind of approach the second half. I don't have to change it in terms of personnel or systems. It's about mentality, and we've got to go after them. We've got to make sure that we change the game here. It's up to us to go and make a difference. And I wonder what was said at half time, to make us come out so early. And like I said, Leon Bailey getting a shot away 8 seconds in, scoring the goal 4 minutes into the second half. Just saying, you're in control of this game. It's a lucky deflected goal. It's about us here. We got on intensity from the off. Once the whistle goes in the second half, we will make it 3-1 and we'll win. And having that confidence and belief in yourself to control the game and go, yeah, it's Man United, but we're at home, we're winning. I wonder what was said and how much of an impact that will have on Villa going forward from a mental point of view, to have that belief in themselves.
It's remarkable within the short time frame to have done that.
Yeah,
if you imagine, I think the bits that I've seen of him, his English sounds good, and I think he'll be more than able to communicate in English. But if he's been had to get his ideas over that quickly, I think I've seen a couple of interviews that the Villa players have given saying that he hasn't had one-to-one time with them yet. He's only really spoken to them as a group. I think it's really encouraging. Let's not forget, Dan, that effectively the squad of players that he was picking from today is the squad of players that got battered at Fulham and self-destructed a couple of weeks ago. The squad of players that, were undone too easily in the second half at Newcastle. So the thing I've heard a lot from him is talking about confidence. Now, I don't really know. I don't know how you instill confidence. I don't know whether it just comes or whether it's just arm around the shoulder, or I don't know. But they seem to be confident enough to adapt what he wanted straight away. So whether he said, you just go and play, this is on me. If things go wrong, this is on me. You just go and play. I don't know, but I want to see more of it. I think it was just give us our mojo back, I think.
There was some discussion between Emery and Douglas Luiz on the pitch, and then Douglas Luiz went off to speak to Matty Cash. I wonder whether Douglas Luiz is acting a bit of a translator.
Yeah.
Obviously, Martinez is captain, who he knows and could speak Spanish as well. But his English is good. He's on the pitch. In the training videos and stuff we've seen, he's clearly talking to the players. It's not like he's got a translator on his shoulder having to get things across, and he might need that in big team meetings or whatever. Perhaps we'll probably never know, but his English is plenty good enough to be able to get his points across, I would say, from what we've seen so far. And kind of seen a lot about the kind of language barrier and stuff over the last few days. And we made the good evening joke on the first podcast we did when he was announced, and I immediately went, that was a joke. I'm not going to go into that. It's not something I want to be doing on a regular basis. And I've not seen much of that from Villa fans, really. There's something on Sky about giving them the respect he needs and don't take Nick out of his accent and stuff like this. It's like, yeah, we understand all that. Like his English is far better than my Spanish, and his French and his Basque and his Russian or whatever else he can speak is far better than anything I can do. But if you put all that to one side for a sec, it is about how he communicates as a football person to his football players. And it seems that after 4 days, he's managed to get across his reasons and his beliefs to the point of ending a 27-year winless streak against Man United. So now let's be patient with him. Let's see where he can take us. So if he can do that after a week or less than a week of being in charge, it does kind of feel like if you're patient with Emery and you let him kind of have control of the club to a certain extent, he will be successful. I know it's a very kind of easy thing to say, this manager will be successful, and just kind of pin all your hopes on that one thing. But from a player's point of view, if you listen to this guy and take on board what he's telling you, he's so meticulous with detail. You should improve as a player, and you should get results off the back of that. So you're talking about instilling confidence. They can now just go back to this game and today and go, look what you did there on the first game we had after 4 training sessions. If we could do it then, a year down the line, we can do this. And you can bring his players in to implement that style as well. So, talking about kind of the long term of Unai Emery and getting the long-term deal, and it's the longest contract we've given to a manager since Remy Gard. And obviously that didn't go exactly well. So the announcement actually for Remy Gard sounded like he's one of the most highly rated coaches in Europe or something. It's like, okay.
Just on what you were saying, about Unai, and we only see the bits that we're allowed to see through with our own eyes on a match day, but we see the bits that Villa release through the socials and through the club website and stuff. So I'm basing this on a very narrow kind of view of him, I suppose. But he does seem likeable. He does seem like the
Yeah.
kind of person who you'd trust and who you'd want to. I'm saying run through brick walls for, but you'd want to work with, you want to learn from, you'd want to see what has brought him this success before. So yeah, I'm all aboard the Unai train.
Yeah, I fully agree. I feel like if you give him time and you give him 3 or 4 seasons, he will do something. He will get us into Europe. He will win a trophy. It feels like it's kind of that's his goal. That eventually he will do that.
Yeah, I reckon we tell him that the League Cup match on Thursday. I reckon we tell him it's Europa League all the way through the competition, and we just say, we've drawn a lot of home-based teams. To be honest,
yeah. Just on his kind of, we've talked a lot about his language and his tactics and stuff. Just on his in-game management as well today. Obviously, a difference to, first of all, Ten Hag, who probably stood in the Man United dugout for about 3 minutes throughout the entire game. And also, obviously, Steven Gerrard is predecessor. So, we've talked a lot about kind of being a lot of shots of him on Sky, being sat slumped in his seat. And we're just wondering, does he know how to change this? Does he get involved or not? A lot of training videos of him not really being involved on the sidelines while Mockabeel or whoever takes a session. Then Unai Emery comes in and we've seen him lead a training session, ping balls around, get involved, be part of that. And then during the game itself, be on the touchline for pretty much the entirety of the whole game, pointing, loads of thumbs up. He loves a thumbs up, Unai Emery, shouting, pointing, running the whole length of his technical area. And the one moment that kind of stands out, and there'll be loads of moments that people have noticed throughout the game as well, there was the kind of counter-attack that hit the ref. So Man United had a bit of a spell of pressure anyway, and we eventually won the ball back and went to kind of a bit of a counter, ball hit the ref, big groans, etc. But as soon as we won the ball back, Emery wasn't bothered about any of that. He was straight running down, well out of his technical area, a few yards out of it, near where I kind of see it. And he's fuming at Kamara and Ings and whoever else were down there to get them on. He wasn't even watching any of that counter-attack, and when the ball hit the ref, he was too focused already thinking, right, we've had a bit of pressure there, I need to make a change. And that in-game management to go, right, Kamara, he's going to come on and sit much deeper. Dendoncker or McGinn can push forward a little bit. McGinn can come on as a bit of a 10. He can still offer a bit of a threat, but he can come back as well. And there'll be other occasions that people will have noticed that he was really vocal with a particular player or always had an eye on the dugout. Didn't have that from Gerrard. Didn't have that kind of in-game management to be proactive and think, right, I've got to make a change before something happens. It was always, they've scored, now I'll do something about it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things for me. I think I put this message on social media the other day that I don't think we should fall into the trap of saying everything Gerrard was appalling and everything Emery is brilliant. He's got a better centre part in and his teeth are shinier and his whistle's louder on the training ground and stuff like that. Because I think this guy's got enough, he's high enough calibre for us just to look at the complete package. I think we can judge him. I would judge him more on what he's done in for that game in the second half of that game, like you say, spotting dangers, spotting threats before they become threats. He's used all 5 of his substitutes, and it looked like Dendoncker was tiring towards the end, so he's put Sanson on, and he's just been quite clever. So I don't know. I just we're going to have to wait until probably the end of January before we can do this as a proper sample of what he's all about. So you'll have to forgive us. You'll have to forgive us if we're getting too excited about what we've just seen. But we can only judge it on that so far. And so far, so good.
Well, these podcasts are always post-match debrief. It's about the 90 minutes we've just seen. It's about today. And obviously, it's one game for Emery, so that's all we can react off. And I hope we're saying similar things about him in 6 months' time and 12 months' time. And it doesn't always go pear-shaped. And we go, oh, what happened when we beat United? It was all going so well. What happened to Unai Emery? But like I said, it feels like, and again, lots of clubs and lots of fans will say this about new appointments. If we give him time, this guy will get it right. But he's done it before. He's got the experience, so it should work out. Like on paper, football isn't played on paper. Unai Emery should be able to bring success to a mid-table football side because he's done it before on a couple of occasions in Spain. He did well at Arsenal as well. It's fireworks going off, by the way.
Can I just have a moment about this fella who's in our row at the top of the tree?
Yeah, if you want,
don't care if he watches it. He always, and I can understand it most of the time, we're normally losing and everybody's flat as anything. He always leaves before the end, and he left. We got 6 minutes of injury time. He left even before the final whistle, and I'm thinking, we've not beaten these for 27 years at Villa Park in the league. This is our new manager. Villa Park's absolutely bouncing. we're playing well. We deserve to win it. Don't you just want to stay for a little bit of the acclaim at the end? Unless he thought it was going to go pear-shaped. And I think, listen, I don't like traffic. I'm not a fan of traffic. I park 20 minutes away from Villa Park so I don't get stuck in traffic. But surely you've got to stay for the end of that. And it made me think, does he even know that the boat hit the iceberg in Titanic? Did he stay that long? Does he know how it unravels at the end of Usual Suspects? Because
no spoilers. I've never seen it.
Well, ask him, mate, because he won't give any spoilers because he ain't seen the end of it either. And I'm just thinking, I don't know, if it was just a one-off, he might have had an emergency to dash to or whatever. But he does it all the time. Just thinking,
yeah.
Is there no joy? Is there no shared joy in that moment where we actually celebrate the final whistle because we've actually achieved something as a collective?
Yeah, that was interesting as well. Emery straight down the tunnel, which I thought was
got a lift on with that fella.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I thought that was a little bit strange.
Did he applaud or did he do it? Because we moaned about Gerrard for going.
Well, this was it. Yeah, I mean, I've seen Gerrard stay out longer after a defeat, which says it all. But Emery was straight down, handshakes with Ten Hag, maybe a little ripple. And then straight down, a few handshakes and stuff down by the tunnel, and he was gone. That was it. Which again,
so I was trying to get a photo with me. This is a sad Villa fan, and we've not won a trophy. We beat Man United at Villa Park. I wanted a photo with me kids.
Well, they'll have kids the next time we beat them, so it was worth taking a photo.
Yeah, I'll be a
granddad the next time we do it. But yeah, I just thought it was semi-interesting. And again, I talked about the pre-match press conference at the start of this, and I suppose this is a good way to kind of shoehorn it in. Kind of the fanfare that's come with Unai Emery. And your thoughts on that? Because when it was Steven Gerrard, it was big name ex-player. There was a lot of kind of national media attention on it because of who he was. There was a lot of this Purslow Gerrard narrative. Oh, well, I know him, but we don't go to the cinema together. All that kind of stuff. And we probably all got carried away with that to a certain extent. Did a decent job at Rangers. Come down, new Premier League manager, shiny, exciting. Let's see what happens. And as much as Emery there's been a lot of kind of like social media love for him from Villa fans. I don't know whether there's been much national media interest in Emery coming back, apart from it's the guy that was at Arsenal after Wenger. He's back, everyone. Kind of like, let's see what he does this time. It's definitely positivity amongst the Villa fan base, but kind of the external fanfare that comes with it. And then the stuff that Villa have put out as well, in comparison to the early days of Steven Gerrard, that I don't know whether this is work permit issues, but he's kind of announced, but then we don't really see any pictures or video of him for ages. And then we get an iPhone picture of Nassef and Wes taken at some point, and that just gets on social media. Then there's an interview a couple of days later and a press conference a couple of days later. It's a bit of a training video, but still not a great deal. Even the unveiling press conference only lasted about 6 or 7 or 8 minutes or something. It wasn't this huge deal. And then today, the pre-match stuff of him coming out is kind of muted to a certain extent because of the Armistice Day stuff as well. And then he straight down this one at the full time, and it's kind of like it's a big kind of big deal appointment, but the kind of fanfare around it hasn't really been as big as I might have expected it to be. I don't know whether it's the kind of lessons learned.
I don't mind the way that it's been unveiled and announced and introduced to us in little instalments. So I don't mind that. I'm not sure the press conference was that different to the Gerrard one, really. I mean, you'd still got Purslow and Johan Lange, and the manager there. He's not. Purslow's not going to suddenly. Villa wouldn't entertain questions where you're asking them about in that environment about Gerrard and what went wrong. And if I'm being honest, like the evil journalist in me would want to use that opportunity to ask questions and to try and find out and to quiz the hierarchy about what did go wrong. But equally, I don't think that's very respectful for Unai Emery in that situation. This is his unveiling. You know what I mean? Why should it be hijacked with that, basically? So, yeah, I like the fact that it was a little natural photo with Sawiris and Emery.
I like it because, again, I've said before, I want to see action on the football pitch before I get carried away. So I don't need a 25-minute sit-down interview and a million press photos and being all over Sky Sports and stuff. I'd rather us do what we've done today, go a little bit under the radar. The game wasn't on TV today, and we beat Man United, and we've kind of let the football do the talking. And I'm not seeing anything from Emery post-match apart from one quote, which says, it's gone off my phone, but something like, I'm proud to be here and I'm glad we beat Man United. I'm a privileged man to be here and to win against them, is the quote Villa tweeted with the video, which obviously I can't watch just yet. So again, I like that. I like the low key element of it. I don't need flashy fanfare, big name, sexy Steven Gerrard appointment. I want proven football manager to win games before anything else.
Yeah, he's probably getting his practice in for when it doesn't go so well. Disappearing down the tunnel and saying, "Well, listen, you can't knock me. I used to.
I never used to do it.
Went down the tunnel when we won."
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned about the Gerrard thing, and it's not
stuff on the way in, and
yeah. You mentioned the Gerrard thing, and it's not the opportunity to ask it, but I did find it semi-amusing that Perzo's kind of sat there going, "This is our biggest appointment since we got promoted." And it's like, well, the last one was pretty big as well, and we got that wrong. So let's kind of acknowledge that to a certain extent.
Kind of laying it on thick like that, almost kind of trying to completely brush over the fact that got the last one spectacularly wrong. I thought he looked a bit nervous. I did. I think he ended up calling the co-owner Wedseasons. I think he stumbled over his listen, I'm always
we all do.
I just thought he looked a little bit uncomfortable and nervous. But
it doesn't matter. I don't really know why I brought it up. It's just we've not spoken about it on the podcast. I thought we should touch on it, but we've had a game since then that we've won. So let's move on from the presser, and let's move away from the game as well, because I think we've probably talked about everything in the game that we wanted to. Unless there's anything else you've
not
mentioned
another
just
thing
yet.
that annoyed me, and this was before the game, and I think I must be turning into an old prude or something. But I had to meet a fellow I know, a Villa fan I know. I met him by the McGregor statue, and it was hammering it down at rain, so everybody was hiding under whatever shelter they could do. This was about 1:30, half an hour before the game. But just seeing the McGregor statue, the plinth of that statue turn into a rubbish bin. There's kind of empty cans and plastic pint pots and all these kind of things. And I just think, I know it's raining, I know people aren't going to go searching far and wide for a bin, but is there not a bin? I probably should have looked myself.
They've got those big industrial bins by the dugouts by McGregor Stanks. That's where I go in. So put your rubbish in the bin.
Yeah, so I just found it looked a bit cheap and nasty. I think we should treat our property with a bit more respect than that.
But anywhere I don't like litter and stuff. There's bins everywhere. Put your rubbish in the bin. Or take it home and put it in the bin. Let's talk about the badge quickly. 2 new badges released this week. I think it was supposed to come a little bit earlier, and then Steven Gerrard was sacked, and it probably wasn't the right time, to be honest.
Yeah.
We've talked about this kind of stuff a little bit before with the new stand and stuff, and I've always kind of poo-pooed it a little bit and gone, look, I want to win football games. I don't really care about a new stand. I don't really care about a new badge, new kit, training range, whatever. Win some football games. That's all I'm really bothered about. But we have got to vote now on this round badge or the lamp badge.
Surely.
What?
I'm not going to vote right now, have I?
No, you haven't got to do it right this second, but fans have got to vote.
What's the deadline for it?
It's Wednesday, I think it is.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's Wednesday. There's this round badge and the lamp badge. There was a lot of talk about the lamp badge before it was announced. It's a shield. It doesn't really look anything like a lamp. So it's marketing speak, isn't it? And about the lion being the opposite way around, because it's the lion before was looking backwards when we want to move in the right direction. So the lion's got to face forwards now. Oh, I just don't care, to be honest, about the badge. It'll be the round one because everyone's asked for a round badge for years, and the round badge is better than the shield badge. But I'm not convinced either of them are any better than some of the social media ones I saw knocked up by supporters, to be honest. So I don't really know who's voted on getting it to these two, but I would like some tweaks on these two before I voted on either of these two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you think about it? Do you care? Do you like the round one? Do you like the lamp one? Or are you not bothered at all?
I just think it's an impossible job, isn't it? It's an impossible job. How do you find something that pleases 40,000 match-going fans and 500,000, 1 million, whatever we want to claim, however big we want to claim Villa are? How do you please all those people? You don't do.
You know, we could just you and me were sample size. If you could say shield and I could say round, and that's you and me versus 1v1. So you're never going to please everybody. The vast majority seems to go round.
The dad and the lad sitting next to me. The dad's voting for one, and the lad's voting for the other. So it's just cancelling out each other's vote anyway. I've seen all the stuff that the shield one. People saying the shield one looks a little bit pro Evo or looks a little bit MLS, and the round one. Is it dynamic enough? Does it
looks a bit like
shine off social and all these kind of things? I don't know. I think Villa have tried. They've tried to make this democratic, but tried to make a process democratic that can't really be democratic. So should it have been a case where they should have almost sounds a bit like a Blue Peter badge competition, or used to be a program called Heartbeat, where you used to send in your own artwork and they'd show it on the gallery. Should it have been a case? We have seen lots of really good examples on social media. Should it have been a case that they
Some
just
bad ones as well.
ask people to fire in theirs, shortlist it to 6 or 10, and then go from there, and then recruit the external graphic design firm to actually kind of polish at that stage. But I don't know. I think they're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. And I suppose if they got a fan contributing the winning design, they'd have to pay them millions of pounds worth of royalties for the next however many years. So I don't mind.
What do you think about the line being the opposite way around? That seems a big talking point amongst supporters, that it's the opposite to what it should be, and it looks like it's been flipped and stuff. Again, I don't care.
I think it looks odd. I think it looks a bit like change for change's sake. I know they've explained it with this marketing spiel, we're a forward-looking club and stuff like that. I was nosing into a Twitter thread that you contributed to the other day with the guy you got on. Is it Rob Hardy? What's his name? Who's the guy who's the shirt designer?
Oh, Rob Warner.
Rob Warner, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Rob. Saying he'd have liked to see just the kind of embroidered on the shirt, and if somebody did an example of it, and it looked pretty good.
But they could still do stuff like that, couldn't they? This is why I'm not really that bothered about it, because whatever you have, you could go, well, this season we'll just have the line. It's a special 150-year anniversary. We've got the line with AV underneath it, or whatever. Yeah. So I'm not massively bothered. Like, either of those badges are fine. If they'd have done one, like, remember when Leeds tried to do that badge a few years ago? If it was something like that, fine, go crazy about it, because it's terrible, and they U-turned on that, didn't they? It never went ahead. But if either of those badges are absolutely fine, the one now is whatever. Again, do I really care? Not really. I feel like the ones that they've offered, because there isn't much clarity on this one, is there? No. The one we've got currently. There's basically no yellow on the new ones either. And I wonder whether they would have looked more natural with a yellow line still. But again, I'm not that bothered.
I said the other day, the true judge is, how would it look on an old man's leg, on an old man's calf? What would the badge look like in faded tattoo ink in 30 years? And that's how you should decide for me.
It's a bit like shirts, isn't it? When a new shirt comes out and you kind of pick it apart and go, I'm not sure about this, not sure about that. And then you play a few games and it's done. Once we change the badge, it'll be done, and that'll be that. Once it's plastered all over the burger wrappers and the stadium and the kits and the, key rings or whatever, you'll go, oh yeah, that's the Villa badge. And it'll be that, and whatever we do under the new badge is what you'll associate it with. If we get relegated, you'll go, oh, that was the badge when we got relegated. If we win a trophy, it'll be the badge that we won a trophy with, and it'll be the new 1982 one. So
exactly,
we'll see what happens on the pitch.
Like I said, it's just impossible to please every single Villa fan anyway. I mean, there's some people out there who don't find my dad jokes hilarious.
Oh, unbelievable.
Do you know what I mean?
Like when you're talking about voting for it as well, I feel like, and this would be impractical, but it almost needs like every element to be voted on as well. Which line do we have? Which way does he face? What colour is he? Do we have AV? Is it AVFC? Is it Aston Villa FC? Do we have the date? Do we have the star? Is the star in the badge? Is it out the badge? Like, you've got to vote on all those elements before you get to this stage.
Just get Paul McGrath to choose it, and then they can say, this is what Paul McGrath said. Okay. How can we argue?
Let's get Emery to pick it. Everything Emery picks turns to gold at the moment. Let's let him do it instead. I think that's it. I said we mentioned the badge just for the sake of mentioning it. I'm personally not that bothered. I like both, but I think it'll be round, and I think round is marginally better. But yeah,
just on Unai, I don't know why I haven't quite got it fully formed yet, but I think there's a kind of "Come on, Eileen" chant around him. Do you know, like,
do you want to give us
Unai,
oh, interesting. I thought you were going to. I thought the last bit would have been Emery.
Unai to do, come on, Unai to do. But I can't get, come on, Emery. It's just been going around my head, and I can't quite fully form it. So if anybody wants to write the verse and sing it back to us, we'll try.
I think you could have Unai, Emery instead of Unai. Emery should be the last bit of that, I think.
And Dexy's Midnight Runners a local band as well, so if anybody wants to go away and work it up for us, I'm going to Old Trafford on Thursday night, so I'll gladly sing it. I'll gladly get it started on my own.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's the end of the show. I think I'll be heading back shortly, and I mean three massive W's for me. By the way, today. First of all, had a lovely hot dog at Villa Park, which we really got to put a picture on social media. We used to have a burger and stuff at Villa in the burger vans outside, but we've discovered these foot-long hot dogs now that they're better than the burger. So I had one of those. Obviously, Villa won, second big W of the day. Thoroughly enjoyable day so far. Hot dog, Villa winning, Man United, perfect day. Get back home, obviously my parents doing the podcast because I've been dropping some equipment off here for something else. And my partner texts me and says, "What about Chinese tonight?" She doesn't know about the hot dog. So I probably shouldn't really have a hot dog and then a Chinese, but 3 big W's in the day there. Chinese when I get back after Villa win.
I'm all over the hot dog. I'm all over the Villa win. I'm not a massive Chinese.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? That surprises me.
I've never really been a master, a connoisseur of the kind of sweet and sour. And I think when we went to Hong Kong with Villa in, was it 2011?
2011,
we went to this restaurant. Have we ever shown it yet? And it was like the chicken's head.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you sent me a picture once, yeah.
Yes, I think that might have put me off. I've got lamb shank, I think.
Is that what you got tonight?
Lamb shank tonight, yeah. So can I just give a quick shout out to somebody who not only accosted me and said nice things about you, but about me, but he accused you of being miserable. He said you're too miserable and down. So the fella was a Victor Meldrew. No, his name was what was his name? John Reedshaw, I think he said. And I think he said he was from Yorkshire, but I needed a wee at the time, so I didn't really chat for very long. But I think it was John Reedshaw, John Redshaw from Yorkshire. So I have told him that I'll try and cheer you up, and thankfully Unai Emery's done the trick anyway. So I hope John's seen us both smiling today.
I'd like to think Villa people wouldn't think that whilst Villa were winning because there's no reason to be. But when Gerrard was on these big losing streaks, people are going, "Oh, too negative" in the comments. It's like, what do you want me to say? How positive can I be about Villa being bottom of the table or in the bottom 3 or whatever? Like, I've got every right to be annoyed and frustrated by that.
Don't get grumpy. You've finished on your three big dubs. You know, you've had your hot dog, you've had your Chinese, Villa have won. So
someone come up to me and said that they love the podcast, and they were someone else said something about the live show. I think they had missed out on a chance to get a ticket. And McDowell again talked about you and said, "Pass on my regards to Matt and the family," and that's how you were doing.
What a man! Pass on my regards back to Mick as well. And we've sold out the podcast, haven't we?
I won't sell it. I won't see him now to Boxing Day. And no home game to Boxing Day, is there? So unless McDowell's going to get a special guest invite to the live podcast event, which is a possibility.
He could do. Could do. Yeah. Hey, actually, you won't see him till Boxing Day. But guess what? Unai Emery, he's a B.A. Baraka style, isn't he? Hey?
Yeah. I was going to ask you actually. How do you feel now?
Deodorant, is he?
Now you've unwrapped Unai Emery and he's managed a football game. What is he? And he's B.A. Baraka.
He's my Mr. T-Doll. He's my Millennium Falcon. He's my first hi-fi that I had. He's my first Sony Walkman. He's probably my first whatever I had, Amstrad, Commodore 64, whatever presents I had that I actually enjoyed when I was a kid. Not that I'm getting carried away, you know. He's all of them, wrapped with a bow.
All right, great stuff. Clout and Blue Live is sold out for Friday the 18th of November at the Aston Inn. I don't know why I'm plugging it too much because no one else can buy tickets now, so I'm unlucky for missing out. But thanks for everyone for selling that out in a couple of days. It kind of is a bit more real now. When we first set the tickets live, I was thinking, if we only sell out like 10 in the first couple of hours, I'll be a little bit concerned that we're not going to, we're going to turn up there and it'll be like us 4, my parents, your wife or whatever, and it was just like, there's 10 people we know and that's it.
So I'm going to drive you all the equipment there, by the way.
That's my plan currently. Yes. Is that a problem?
So I'm not having a drink. Okay.
Oh yeah, of course. I never thought about
that. We'll take this off here.
Okay. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive, kids.
I definitely shan't. Over time, I might have to get a lift.
Yeah, not thought about that. We'll think about that near the time. But yeah, it's real now. It's happening. Live podcast, Q&A with the 150 or so fans that will be there on the night. We've got a raffle with some pretty good prizes as well, which have started to arrive now at my house. So thanks to the people that are sending me those, raising money for the AVFC Foundation and Acorns as well. So we are filming it. There's a few people asked that they're kind of like gutted to miss out and we'll be live streaming it or anything. We are filming it. It will be on the podcast channel. No, Joshua, you can't just turn up because it's a function room. It's got a limit. There'll be security and stuff. So everyone who turns up has a ticket. If you turn up without a ticket, you will be denied access. So I'd have to be really kind of miserable and negative or whatever John, whoever it was, said how negative I am. If you turn up without a ticket, you cannot come in. So that's happening. Less than 2 weeks to go. Start the preparations for it soon. We'll work out how we're going to get there and get back and get the equipment there. We'll have a chat about that later. But Matt, thank you for joining me this evening as we approach 1 hour on the post-match debrief for beating Manchester United, where I feel like we've probably not really spoken about Man United that much, to be honest. But that's the way this podcast usually goes. So thanks to the 700 odd people who've tuned into the show. We appreciate you watching us as always. In terms of the next week or so of content, I'm not sure where we go next. We might do one on Monday or Tuesday. Tomorrow or Tuesday.
You're not going to do one after United on Thursday?
Yeah, or the next one. Because it might be like a Man United preview for the Cup, maybe, if there's a presser. But I'm not sure because we've just played Man United, so I don't know whether we'll do a preview or not. Yeah. But it'll be Thursday night or Friday morning. We'll talk about Man United, and then we'll talk about Brighton on Sunday night. It's on TV, isn't it, Brighton? I think. So we'll do it Sunday afternoon. And then it'll be Can't Be Live. So, yeah. That's the outro. That's all the plugging and stuff I had to do. Matt, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me, sorry. Thanks everyone else for watching. And do you want to give us one more rendition of that before we go?
Yeah, you're going to join in. Unai, Emery.
Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please do let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode. But until then, up the Villa.